Hope everybody's having a good day. I figured I'd shoot this video for a couple of reasons. One, because the car can never get too much content, and two, because this is a brand new phone that I'm shooting on. It's the Galaxy S22 Ultra, and it comes with some awesome features, and I figured I'd go ahead, shoot the video, and edit it, and see what, different characteristics of the video, how much better it is from the old way. So, that's what we're gonna do. So let's go ahead and jump into the car. I just got it back from my mechanic over here, Lake Country Automotive. Shout out to them. He put a brand new steering rack in the car. The old one was leaking, and it's probably been leaking for about 2 years. So I decided, hey, why not? Let's go ahead and change it. If we're gonna be traveling up and down the East Coast, we might as well have it to where it doesn't have any problems at all. I'm trying to button up every possible little problem, and I've actually found probably a dozen little things that could have kept me out of the race. We're gonna go ahead and hop in, and I'm gonna show you. If I can zoom in, this wire here, it had actually melted, and the way that the person who wired it that I took it to for tuning, and they had tied, this would be your main relay, and then that goes down here and steals power straight off the fuse panel. So that actually turns on the external fuel pump that's under the car. So for some reason, I can actually unplug this fuel pump feed here, and it was actually still getting power. So it was kind of frustrating at first until I figured it out, but basically it was like hooked up double. It's like there's a relay, and it was robbing power through the relay in order to fire the fuel pump. Don't really know, but now it runs correctly. It turns on with the key instead of turning on with the main power that's down there. So I'm happy with the way that works now. Secondly, I went ahead and ran my wires differently. So if you see down here, my radio wires, ran them up nice and neat, put a rivet there, a little wire tensioner, and then it keeps it there. And what this is, I'll explain in a second, but I ran my wires nice through here. There's actually a connection made in here, and then it comes all the way back to the back of the seat. So if we're gonna go back to this, I've had multiple drivers in the past have problem with finding fifth gear. So if you notice, you got our shifter here. We're gonna bump it over first, second, third, and fourth. Now, if you go over to, that's fifth, and it goes up into fifth, right? So if you look down here, what it does, I'm gonna show you if I can get a good video of it. Basically, that's your first, that is your third and fourth, and that would be fifth. So this piece right here actually stops the arm from moving back any further. So if we need to go into reverse, we lift that up, and then it allows reverse. So that prevents somebody from going all the way over and trying to find, like, oh, I can't find fifth, and they jam it back into third, and they blew up my motor that way. So now, just got this little fancy hinge. You just lift it up, and that was kind of the only way that we could do it, and it seems to be okay, so I'm pretty satisfied with that. But on to different things. So I haven't been able to get the car aligned, and I won't be able to before test day, which is Wednesday. So we've got a few more days, and then she'll be on track, and everybody will be excited, and I'll be excited because it's been almost 2 years. So we'll come down here. I got these brand new brakes. See these rotors? Loving these rotors. I mean, I am absolutely loving them. They're not like your typical like cross drilled with your slots. These are just slotted, but they're slotted in a different uniform pattern. And then we'll come back here to the rears. And we have your traditional drilled and slotted. Now, this is the first time I've ever ran drilled and slotted rotors on the rear of the car. A reason being, the rear just never really did as much work as the front. but I constantly had a battle with the rears locking up due to the weight distribution being like 65-35. So with putting proportioning valves in to where we can limit the rear brake pressure, if you actually put drilled and slotted rotors on, that's less surface area, less contact patch for the pad to grip the rotor. So having holes and having slots, you're actually reducing its like grab ability. So it will slip a little bit more before it initially bites and locks up. So hopefully with that theory in mind, it won't be a problem. But I get 4 35-minute stints on track, and every time I go out, I'm going to change something slightly but progressively, and we're going to see if our lap times actually go down. That's what we're after. So we're looking for speeds to go up, lap times to go down. I remember, I think it was like back in 2016, I took my old Acura Legend. If anybody here has been here from the beginning, you'll remember my old 87 Acura Legend. I took that to the full course for a practice day, and I think I did a 2-minute and 34-second lap as my fastest lap. I'm not 100% positive on that, but my goal is to beat 2 minutes and 34 seconds because I got a car here that has 100 more horsepower. So I went online and I did a little bit of research, and last year on the full course at VIR, the leader did a 2:22. So if we can be somewhere in the 2:25 range, I'll be really happy. That means I'll have a car that can contend with top 5 place. And that's all I want. I want a car that can run with the top 3 or the top 5 cars to where we can potentially get top 10 finishes, rather than having a brake light go out and you get a black flag and you're in second place and then you just get mad at the world because that's what happened. So trying my best to do away with all those problems. Now let's go ahead into the trunk and I'll show you some other things we found. So as you can see, I got the trunk off, held on by pins and C-clips or whatever you want to call these things. No more latch. There was a bunch of wiring problems. So up here, I'm gonna go ahead and step my foot in here. So let's see if I can get the camera to focus. So right here, so this had some weird kind of AutoZone connection piece that had like a needle point on the end of it, and it would stab a wire, and that basically was your signal wire or either your feed wire to the stock fuel pump in here that ended up going over here to fire the relay for the other fuel pump. And that was where my troubles lied, as far as me getting like signal up there where the fuel pump wouldn't kick on with the key, but it would with the main power. It was just weird. And then when I started addressing these problems, the other problem went away. And I'm like, okay. So I felt like either it was a grounding issue or it was a power issue, whatever the case may be. But when I saw that piece, I'm like, yep, we're gonna do away with that, take it out, strip the wires, solder them up. So got that all taken care of. And then what else did we do? Came down here. So all these are basically just your power feed for these old school trailer lights in the back. Since I've been knocked out of a race before for having brake light failure, I went ahead and put trailer lights in the back of it, so no more trailer or no more brake light problems. Changed all my bulbs on that brake light, changed all my bulbs on that brake light. So now I have all of my original stock lights working again. And I actually bought extras, so if it somehow burns out, whatever the case may be, I'll have extras. The rule is you have to have 2 working brake lights. Now, there's an argument there because inside of these taillights you have 1 bulb and you have 2. But if like one of these goes out, like say both of these go out, right? You still have 2 bulbs over here that's illuminated, but it's still in one fixture. So I was trying to argue with them like, hey man, there's 2 bulbs burning. Your rule says 2. There's 2. There's not just 1 bulb. So they said, no, it has to be 2 fixtures. So I ended up just fixing that with the little tiny trailer light that was like 3 inches tall, and they went ahead and let me go back out, but I was already in like 24th place, so I went from like 4th to 24th in a matter of 15 minutes. So we're not gonna have that happen ever again. So hope not. So what I ended up doing, if you come down here, this giant opening down here, there's actually, if I can show you, there's a light bar down there. So this is the old LED that used to go in the back of the window. And it kind of worked perfectly. But instead of having it as a running light, I wanted it as a brake light. To where if someone creams the back of my car and demolishes a brake light, I don't have to come in and do wiring. I've already got a third brake light there that they cannot get to. I mean, you would have to be hard pressed to get through the steel bar that wraps around the whole back of the car. You'd have to demolish the car if you were going to crush that light. So, I'll show you what I did here. I just used my multimeter. And I found out that the green wire here is actually your brake light, not your running light. So then the green wire gets energized when you press the brake. So I just basically spliced into it and then soldered the hot side of this wire here and soldered it into it and wrapped it with electrical tape, and then took the ground and put the ground there. So that's basically it. I took the car up the road. It absolutely positively flies. I mean, it just flat out rolls. So I'm not gonna have time to get it aligned, but I just did kind of like a steel bar tape measure lineup on it. And I basically took a quick clamp, clamped it to the wheel straight, and did the same on the other side, ran a tape measure from front to back, and I got 73 inches even on both sides. So as far as garage goes, it's aligned. Now, computer-wise, it might not be spot on, but when I took it up the road, it actually drove beautifully. It drove absolutely straight, 100%. So I was happy about that. But the steering wheel, instead of it being like this, it was like this. It was like 1 inch off of center. So the first thing I had to do, I had to come back, take the steering rack out of where like the steering column goes down and connects to the rack. I just took that bolt out, pulled the whole socket off of it, basically turned the wheel 1 inch in the direction it needed to go, and I put the screw back. So hopefully when I take it up the road again, it'll be straight, which it should be. So what I'm gonna do now, I am going to go ahead, since I've probably put 45 minutes of runtime on the car, I'm gonna go ahead and take the spark plugs out and check them out, check them over, see if the car's running rich, whatever, you know, just kind of look at it. It's a good thing to take your plugs out and read them. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Another thing that the mechanic did, he changed all of the hard brake lines. I mean, not the hard brake lines, I'm sorry. He changed all of the hard fuel lines. So all the way from the back of the car, all the way to the front, we have fresh fuel lines. So I was afraid, because the car originally came from DC and it was used as a drug mule car. It has mad amounts of miles on the chassis itself, like over 330,000 miles on the frame. But the brake lines still look kind of iffy. But that will be my next project. But I got the fuel lines updated, so I don't know. Yeah, I can't zoom in this mode, but you can see them. I mean, just look how beautiful they look. So they go from hard steel under the car, and then they change to braided stainless, and then they come up to the adapter. So really happy with how those look. My mechanic said, he's like, I don't know where you got those brake lines from. He goes, but I took the business card out of the box and I put that in my Rolodex, because these are some really quality brake lines. So he was happy with the product that I bought. And I'm happy too. I mean, hey, if he says it's good, right? So that's about it. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna pause the video here, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the spark plugs out, and we'll take a look at them. Oh, that looks pretty. All right, so that came out of number 3. It came out of number 2. So let's look at these. We'll look at them together. We're gonna set 2 and 3 on the engine. See how good this camera works here. So if we can see, that looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, this was a new plug when I very first built the engine. So it's slightly rich, which is okay. I haven't really ran it hardcore wide open yet, but it's not like black sooted. You can kind of see a little bit of brown right there on the white porcelain. And when you talk about like the lean versus rich of an engine, you really want that brown image. Well, my mama just called, so I had to take that phone call real quick. So, yeah, check that spark plug out. Looks really, really nice. I don't know. I'm just having fun kind of playing with the camera. But it looks really good. You can kind of see it better. I don't have really great lighting in here. Let me walk underneath the light. But yeah, I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and pop them all back in, tighten them all down. And I'm going to check the back ones. Got my NGK coils. And I look forward to taking it to VIR and putting it on track and editing the video and giving everybody a little bit of preview of the race. And then we got a race coming up on the 23rd of April, so we're going to be rocking out down in South Carolina on a brand new track. So I'm excited about that. Well, thank y'all for watching the video. Kind of ran on a little bit longer. Started to ramble, whatever. But hope you enjoyed it. Thank y'all. Give it a thumbs up. Peace.